crackling of fire rose towards the eyes of a repentant. Though it was too late, oranges and blues turned gradually to black and purple as Jaqule De Morley watched his skin ripple and wrinkle under the extreme heat. Did the amount he owed Philip IV of France justify this treatment? It was a wonder that his ill consideration warranted such action. 1314 and the continuing war with England had triumphed throughout the order of the Templars for decades. Only on the insistence of the Pope were the religious orders of the day even considered merging into one. That was only on the realization that the new crusade was pondered. More so, the insistence that the orders were united under the French king, giving the monarch even more power as a war emperor. It was the monastic feeling that because of this resistance to unnecessary change that he was being despised at this day, taking advantage of the charges laid at the temple of insurrection and blasphemy. This day would set a precedent which promoted institutional rule over domestic dominance, turning the latter towards the terrorist factionalism it resides in to this day. Factionalism has been prevalent in mainstream democracy, but using it as the basis for subverted independence is particularly used by governmental powers. The manipulation of institutional dependency, as defined by the Equality Act, is highly sought after. There is a degree of relying on other organisations to detract from the machinations of political infighting and competitiveness. The usage of denouncing religious extremism is a handy tool when pointing the finger away from your own ideals. As France goes to the polls on Sunday the 30th of April 2017, terrorist extremism throws apprehension over the election. This seems to create divisions that create an impression of retribution from the Islamic State. In the light of the attacks on the country's capital in 2016, Emmanuel Macron, the most popular choice, has pointed the finger at his two rivals. The finger prods at the open wound that hints that politician had Xavier Jaqule, terrorist, killed together with two police officers. This last has started sparring between factions that will not stop because of such violent beliefs today. Have we not had enough of this childish inviting that started with a simple religious manoeuvre from the church? It's endemic of the resentment that is held today of passing the buck, that such belief systems are seen as totalitarianism before they're even allowed to express their views. Of course, it is not my intent to condone such expressionism as seen in the terror attacks in London and Paris recently, but it is to be pondered upon that these groups have been pushed to such extremes by an unforgiving society today. In the Napoleonic Wars in 1799 that brought the mindset of a once proud nation to its knees upon its defeat. Is it this declaration of the rights of man that endorsed a culture of slavery that travelled above the seas, perhaps? Of course, if the President of America today, Donald Trump, who seemed to be such strong candidates as Le Mans and Macron, people will have a big effect on France today. He added in his recent statement that people of France will not take much more of this. It was the French Revolution that led the people of a massively fractured country to an eerily similar situation whereby Louis XVI was executed. The Third State's assault on the Bastille in 1789 brought the blood-stained palace to the right-wing republic in 1793, a situation which might be said to reside even to this day. Like Le Pen, Francois Fillon said, "I've not stopped warning the government and my compatriots about the breadth and depth of totalitarianism, whose goal is to destroy civilization and crush all enemies from the Southeast Asia right up to West Africa." Fillon, another candidate for the upcoming election, seemed to also advocate the very totalitarianism that upheld the fear generated by their societies in the first place. On the 10th of June, 1783, Abbé Sieyès decided that national communes should assert their own powers in the form of a national assembly, an assembly of fear that was designed to guide people rather than listen to them. It was thus, in 1790, that the civil constitution decided that the church was just part of the state income and employment, an epiphany that was inspired by American independence in essence. Yet another example of colonial intervention and exclusionism like that of their president today. Perseverance of recent events. Both abroad and at home, it is not hard to reflect on the obvious outcome of events, with the dominance of British election announced and the closure of immigration borders in the United States. The early parts of 2017 do not bode well, especially with the revelations of Donald Trump using nuclear facilities to abhorrent effect. Yet another example of religious extremism or circumstantial assertions. He's still trying to promote the idea of putting up a war between the US and Mexico despite objections from his own government. Marine Le Pen is comparing the rise in Muslim expansion in France to extremism in the Second World War, it seems. She says, "I'm sorry for those who really like to talk about the Second World War. If we're talking about occupation, we can also talk about this while we're at it, because this is an occupation of territory. It's an occupation of swathes of society, of areas in which religious laws apply. For sure, there are no tanks, no soldiers, but it's an occupation all the same, and it weighs on people." With the announcement that Britain will be forced to contribute our plans for Brexit through undue taxes, we are forced to consider whether the budget framework will indeed end in 2025. Rather like the extortion of religious houses in the 15th century by the European parliaments, the extermination of those with fervent belief systems through power predominates in the 21st century. With Article 50 not doing its job and failing to calm the dominance of high sector jobs, it seems that the wealthier sections of society still will triumph through their cash injections through fear, incited by fear. A job spurt in the financial sector grew in March 2017 to a 17%, a failure in regards to the estimated effect that such a move might propagate. The suggestion that the NHS will get a pay rise through a Labour government is also laughable. With the possible banning of foreign names in Europe, the new proposal to take those with extremist religions views out of RE, it appears that no individual is allowed to make a choice anymore about their social development. The fracturing of choice as well as financial independence is now threatened. All this, though, a simple fear of religious diversity. Is it that the sacrifice of European independence, and with it in the Pyre along with the last of the Knight Templar, or are we entering into a new era of beliefs and intolerance that will subjugate and personal religious devotions as well as our right to survive in a world full of fear? Did Jaqule De Morley see the divisions his death would cause? Flames lit, his robes rising steadily higher until the smoke of terror spat at his eyes. Or was it just a dream as the final agonies of death consumed his consciousness? Let's just stick with the latter. At least that's comfortable second. Next time on Retrospective Rumors, look at the comparison between the peace treaty of Versailles and the negotiations for peace today. In particular, I examine the damage war and conflict can mount to in both eras and the social and economic fallout that involves. Does it impede on individualism and the amount of money spent and time on healthcare, or is it just a price we pay for a free world? Now there's a question. This is just such a... Jeez. Okay, right. Okay. Let's do this. I don't know whether this is going to cut it, you know. I don't know. That's not bad, thank you.
What are you up to? Just in a minute.
This is getting right. Last one. All this for a fear.
Terrible.